Thank you so much, Yosi Zilberman, for speaking to CNN News 18 once again. Yosi, we are speaking at a time, yeah. Yosi, we are speaking at a time when President Emmanuel Macron is in Tel Aviv and he's perhaps holding talks with Bibi Netanyahu. How do you look at this visit of French president and perhaps once more a high-profile visit to Tel Aviv? How do you look at this, and perhaps what is your reading in your government's position?
I think that we're seeing is a wide legitimacy to the fight that Israel is having against the terror and especially against Hamas. In France, in the US, in Britain, they understand, in Germany, of course, they understand that we are fighting for our values, for our common morals. And this is why we are getting this support from worldwide leaders regarding our ongoing battle against terror. And I think that what we are seeing today with the visit of Macron, what we are about to see in the next few days from other world leaders that are bound to come to Israel, is a firm support of Israel and a very staunch position regarding the return of the kidnapped people, some of them with other citizenships, some of them are Israeli, some of them are soldiers. We are fighting to bring them home, and we are fighting in order to depose Hamas from controlling the Gaza Strip.
Okay, since you have spoken about the hostages, I have been listening to some of the Hamas leaders. They are coming in media and making statements, and perhaps the sense that they want to give out is that that they are ready to return the hostages for a ceasefire. Do you really see Israel arriving at this decision if tomorrow, perhaps through some interlocutor, this proposal comes to Israel?
There is not going to be any ceasefire till the moment that Hamas will cease to exist. This is something that we are very, very firm about that. And this is something that Israel, the Israeli government and the Israeli public will not receive nicely or at all. We are in a fight against Hamas that was slaughtering our citizens a few weeks ago. And for us, if they want to return our citizens in order to receive, I don't know, perhaps some kind of legitimacy, or perhaps to show some human face in this atrocity, by all means. But we don't buy that. We don't think that they can clean their conscience by releasing the hostages and the kidnapped people that they kidnap. I remind you, there are dozens of children right now being held hostage in the Gaza Strip. Children, 4 years old, 6 years old. Some of them are orphans by those terrorists. So we're not buying their actions as a positive act. We see them only as something that is trying to play the world perception in that sense, in order to perhaps that people will look at Hamas as not as a terror organization, but we all remember that Hamas is worse than ISIS, and this is what we are focusing on.
Okay, then Yosi, what about the families of those who have been taken hostage by Hamas? Perhaps we were expecting ground invasion, ground operations to start, and it's been almost 15 days, if I'm not mistaken, when the ground operation was announced. But we are not seeing that happening. What is the reason of this delay? And perhaps is Israel buying more time? Is Israel looking at some sort of a green signal from some nation, or Israel is preparing, or perhaps the reservists, those who have reached Tel Aviv, they are being trained? What is the reason that why ground invasion, ground operations have not started yet?
I think that we don't need to announce Hamas when we're going to start our land maneuvers, because this is something that is being planned in the government with the very tight coordination with the security forces. And we will have the land maneuver in the right time. only an hour ago, the IDF spokesperson, Hagari, spoke about this and told that we are ready. The army is ready, the security forces are ready, and the government is ready. The minute that we will think that the option to go out and start this maneuver, it will happen. We don't need to announce it. We don't need to alert the other side about our plans. And of course, we are in full coordination with our allies in some fields. On the strategic level, we are not announcing on every step and every way that we're having and making, but we are, of course, in coordination to some extent with our allies. And I'm sure that when the land maneuver will start, we will all notice that.
Okay. Now, Yosi, there is a very serious issue, perhaps, in terms of this conflict becoming or turning into a full-blown war or a regional conflict. I'm saying this because already there are two carrier striker which has been deployed by US in the Eastern Mediterranean. Now, in fact, some reports suggest that there are 6 Chinese warships in the Middle East. Perhaps they have come to Middle East for some combined military drills and port calls that were pre-scheduled before this war. But it somewhere makes situation more serious, and also this particular development of China. Chinese 6 ships in Middle East cannot be seen in isolation. It definitely has to do with the ongoing conflict. How does your government take these reports?
I won't get into the geopolitical affairs that are being discussed, considered, happening in front of our eyes. Yes, we know, of course, about the progress of the American forces, and it is being done in coordination with us, of course, but other forces that we are not going to elaborate about them are as well part of geopolitical actions. We, as Israel, have only one front in this war, the front against Hamas. We are not focusing on other fronts, and we have also warned the northern front of Israel, the Hezbollah, to avoid getting into this event, because we will retaliate to any action by them, and we don't want to open another front. And this is why, and to be honest as well, security-wise and defense-wise, Israel can cope by itself in this war against Hamas, and this is what we're doing. We don't need to add more forces, of course, not military forces in this event, and we will handle Hamas. God forbid, if there will be another front, we will know how to handle it as well. But our focus right now, and we are not aiming to open up different areas and different feuds with other players in the Middle East right now, except for the terror regime in Gaza.
Okay. Yosi, also, I would take a follow-up question. Reason being because many geopolitical observers are calling this new axis being formed as an axis of evil. Many pro-Israeli geopolitical experts are calling it axis of evil. Russia, China, and Iran. Now, Iran has been named by your government, and perhaps your government has been saying it from first day that Hamas cannot do it alone. Now, we have also reports of Sergei Lavrov meeting his Iranian counterparts. Then Russia and China both have taken a neutral position on this entire war, perhaps talking about two-state solution, immediate ceasefire, humanitarian aid to Gaza. There has not been a single statement which has come from them in the favor of Israel. That's why I have asked this question: that how do you see the geopolitics, perhaps changing, given this new axis being formed, this new alignment in your neighborhood?
Well, I will answer you like that. I think that China and Russia can play a more constructive role in the Middle East in general, and specifically even in this event. We have conveyed messages to China and Russia during the last few days that we think that they can influence the situation in a better way. I'll remind you that in a few hours, our foreign minister as well is going to address the Security UN Council and ask the world to intervene in bringing back our hostages from Gaza. And of course, China and Russia, as permanent members of the Security Council, can play a major role in order to push forward this action. And of course, if they have their own direct line to different partners that we don't speak with them directly, then by all means they can put pressure on them and stress that Israel means business. And if they can't influence those partners, we will influence those partners, not in a matter of negotiation, but in a matter of our capabilities and military option. And we do think that with this pressure by all members of the Security Council, and as I've mentioned, the US, France, and Britain have already declared their support in Israel, and I hope that China and Russia as well will join this effort in order to reduce the tension and for most things, at least help bring us the hostages.
Okay, Yosi, one more question. There is a summit which is going on in Cairo, and perhaps most of these countries are participating to find out the solution. They are putting their point of view ahead. They are speaking about their point of view on the ongoing battle. Do you really think that the summit in Cairo and perhaps the effort that Egyptian government is making can find some sort of a solution to this war?
In a way, I will continue as well my answer. I think that many of the moderate countries in the Middle East can play a role in order to facilitate the situation to some extent. It won't save Hamas regime, to be very clear about that, but it can save the people of Gaza from the destruction that we are aiming towards Hamas. And if the people of Gaza will depose and will dethrone and will send away Hamas, things perhaps will look a little bit different. I heard a few rumors about actions by Turkey regarding the leadership of Hamas. We heard about the actions of Qatar. I think that, and of course, the actions of Egypt in order to help release some of the hostages. I think that these are actions in the right step. I think that we need to make Hamas a pariah, a worldwide pariah. There is no negotiations with Hamas. There is nothing that we can deliberate with them. But in order to help the people of Gaza, it is very crucial that the moderate countries like Jordan and Egypt and the Gulf country that Israel has very good connection with will facilitate something that will help the Gazans to live a better life without Hamas.
Okay, Yosi, do you really have, or your government has reservations as far as the humanitarian aid reaching Gaza? Are you people asking for oversight or some sort of a scrutiny before those trucks entering Gaza, and why so?
Absolutely. We are supervising actually every truck that is entering the Gaza Strip, and we are focusing on humanitarian aid. For now, no oil or gas that is being transferred to Gaza. They have enough, as we've shown even in some satellite photos just an hour ago, and we made them public regarding food and humanitarian aid and some medical. helping them in order to push forward a little bit of the humanitarian help. But first of all, nothing can go to Hamas. Nothing is coming in from the Israeli territory. And of course, as I've mentioned, the essence of this aid is strictly humanitarian. Nothing of transport, nothing, of course, of buildings. And this is why we are. This is like
you
our
see why. You see why I have asked this question to you. Reason is that some of the international media is reporting that there is less supply of fuel and gas to Gaza, and that could perhaps result in closing down of operations at hospitals, the operation theaters, and the patients are being treated. So how would you like to respond to this a particular demand coming from Gaza, because they are alleging that they want more fuel and more gas to run their hospitals?
I will answer you quite clearly. Fake news. Seriously.
Okay.
For now,
okay,
there is no shortage of energy in the Gaza Strip. And we are monitoring that, and we are in touch with other players in the area in order to keep monitoring that. But for now, there is enough of supplies of energy in the Gaza Strip. So the hospitals can run, and basic infrastructure can run, and they even have food and supplies. So this is something that we need to be very, very clear about that.
Yeah. Okay. A very last question. Yosi, we have been reading about what is happening in West Bank. Perhaps some reports of clashes between forces and the population of West Bank. And in fact, the forces have struck down a mosque in West Bank, in Jenin, where IDF forces claim that mosque was being used by Hamas terrorists as a safe house, as a training camp. If you could please elaborate a little bit, and the presence of Hamas in West Bank, how much this is perhaps worrying the Israeli forces?
Yeah, well, Jenin was already known to be a camp for many terrorists in the last few years, and especially in the last year. And unfortunately, as we saw in Gaza, the Palestinian terrorists are trying to take advantage of places, sacred places, of civilian places, and use them as allegedly a safe haven for them in order to plan their terror attacks. And this is what happened in that mosque. And from the intelligence that we have, there was a plan to copycat the events that happened in Gaza as well in the West Bank, and to launch an attack against a community or crossing near that area, in the same way that happened 2 weeks ago near the Gaza border. So we have eliminated this threat in an event that caused damage as well to a mosque. But unfortunately, when we are dealing against terror, we will do whatever it takes in order to, first of all, hurt the terrorists, not hurt and try to avoid civilian casualties. And of course, if we can avoid as well civilian infrastructure, we will do that. But in that case, the civilian or sacred infrastructure was used in order to plan a terror attack against Israel, and we will eliminate any threat in this.
Okay. Thank you so much, Yosi. Thanks a lot for speaking to CNN News 18, and thanks for finding out time to speak to us. Looking forward to do it again. Thanks a lot. Bye.